Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we have a gigantic sneak peek for the upcoming X-Men update. This blows the doors off of most of my speculation, and it confirms so many different things. I'm blown away. This is literally 3 or 4 or 5 sneak peeks rolled into one. This is the turducken of sneak peeks. So let's just get right into it. This is absolutely insane. We're gonna watch it a few times here because it's gonna roll through, and then we're gonna talk about it because there's quite a bit to dissect. And you know, I gotta give it up to Netmarble. This is a very cleverly done sneak peek because it takes parts of previous sneak peeks and it expands on them to give us more details, but it also, whoops, it's already done, but it also gives us a bunch of new information. So let's take this frame by frame. The first very important piece of information we see here is that Mr. Rasputin, Colossus, and Emma Frost are both missing. But if you look closely, these versions of these characters have never been expressed in Marvel Future Fight, which means these are new uniforms. And judging by the color schemes, and judging by their facial expressions, and judging by Cyclops was right, and everything else we're going to see here, these are the Phoenix 5 uniforms for Colossus and Emma Frost, which is huge, and it means that scary shit is coming. It's going down. Meet me at the mall. Maybe in Marvel Future Fight, okay, for the V540, because it's going down. Cage, you can use that one, by the way. So that's pretty insane. So what we saw in the last sneak peek with the Danger Room, and it had scrolling through and seeing Emma Frost name and Cyclops' or Colossus' name, that is now being confirmed here with these 2 new uniforms. And then we have, as we scroll through, the spray paint Cyclops was right, which is sort of a meme at this point. But depending on how you sort of interpreted the results of Avengers versus X-Men and the Phoenix Force and the Phoenix 5, and the decisions that Cyclops made, the decisions that Captain America made, and Iron Man to an extent, yeah, you can sort of side with either Cyclops, or Cyclops was right or Cyclops was wrong. And then it says here, was he? So it's pretty funny, kind of poking fun at that. If we scroll further to the right here, because it starts to scroll just before the explosion, let's kind of rewind before that. We can see 2 really important things. The first one is actually on the far right hand corner. You can see the outline and sort of like the stencil of Cyclops, and this is Cyclops' Phoenix 5 look. So he's absolutely getting this uniform to be, you know, a host of the Phoenix Force, which is absolutely outstanding and berserk, because he's a powerhouse in that series. And then, more importantly, a lot of people are going to point out right here, we have a T here, the stop sign. You know, everything else is gone except for the T. And then we have Wolverine's signature 3-claw mark. T plus 3 equals, of course, T3, tier 3. So we're getting tier 3 Cyclops from the looks of it. But it also says in a cute way, not cute, but like, you know, it's a nice clever way here, stop killing mutants. So there's a lot of interplay going on right now. Cyclops was right, stop killing mutants. Was he? And then it shows him here as sort of like an outlaw vigilante, sort of wanted man type thing. And these are sort of like wanted posters, except they're missing posters. We have the X symbol over here. And then, of course, he blasts through the wall, completely disintegrates the majority of it, completely cuts the stop sign down to size, and then we get the silhouette of him with the fire in the background. The fire, of course, would be signifying the Phoenix Force, and as the Phoenix inhabits his body as a host. So yeah, you know, Kitty Pryde, new character. Quentin Quire, new character. Rachel Summers, new character, not to be confused with Hope Summers. And then we've got 3 new uniforms, one for Colossus, one for Emma Frost, one for Cyclops, and then we have Cyclops tier 3. All of that in just 4 sneak peeks, plus whatever the Danger Room is going to be. So that is absolutely massive. So first, I want to just quickly go through what has been posted on social media, because there is a little bit to read into, and it will also bleed into how we sort of interpret and sort of speculate on what we can expect from Cyclops. But most of you at this point should be building Cyclops. Just do it, trust me. He's probably going to be good, possibly very good. But let's check out social media really quickly. On Twitter, we see enemies be warned. This mutant's newfound powers, indicating a tier 3 advancement, will blast down anyone in his path. And then Danny Koo writes, he was wrong before, so he's kind of memeing on the Cyclops was right thing. Someone else should stop him. Someone else should stop him kind of makes him sound like he's a villain. So we'll get into that. That's sort of the the center of all this. And then over on the Netmarble forums, I have to adjust this here, he says that he suddenly received multiple rescue signals. And then he could understand that there were cries and that a nearby city was in danger. In order to save more lives, he needed more information, what's happening, and what was causing the danger. So it sounds like the Phoenix 5 are just, destroying everything, which is not that far off from what they do in the crossover series. I need to find someone to tell me why the entire place, I guess the city, is up in flames. All I can see is flame and debris, which is from the video. What is the purpose of his appearance, his sudden appearance, the Cyclops? I'm sure everyone will be able to see his transformation, Tier 3, soon. So this is heavily implying that Cyclops is going to be a villain, which is really important for Marvel Future Fight and for the players, because this is going to be only the, third villain Tier 3, and it's going to be the second Blast Tier 3 who is a villain. It's also going to be the 6th Blast Tier 3. We've gotten a lot of Blast Tier 3s in general, and a lot in this recent run of updates. So I want to get into all that. So first of all, how do I feel? What's my reaction to the fact that we're getting a third Blast Tier 3 in 4 updates? Honestly, Netmarble, it's a lot. Now, I'm not going to judge your decision making just yet. I want to see how the rest of the year rolls out in terms of what other Tier 3s are coming. But, assuming that you plan this ahead of time, if you don't end up, if the year doesn't end off well, and if the year doesn't end off balancing things properly, I am going to come back to this moment and criticize you for choosing Cyclops over pretty much anyone else. Even giving it to Colossus as kind of a little lame as that might be, it would sort of follow the trend. You did double blast with Jean Grey and Doctor Strange, so then you do double combat with Namor and Colossus, and then maybe you do double speed, and then you do a universal to top off the year, whatever. I don't really care, but we'll have to see. But I have to say, as far as patterns go and as far as the balancing act goes, doing blast, combat, blast is not really well balanced, let's be honest. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what that means. Secondly, what does it mean for Cyclops specifically to get a Tier 3? So this is an interesting one, because I think Cyclops is in a very good position for getting a Tier 3, and I've talked about this to some length on other videos, but Cyclops is sort of just a few changes away from being a powerhouse character. So let's take a look at why Cyclops could be a powerhouse character. He has an absolutely fantastic leadership. So if his leadership gets buffed, even if it only applies to X-Men, it's one of the best leaderships in the game, because it's a 35-25, and that synergizes with his 4-star passive, which applies another 15% energy to all allies. So to himself, he's basically giving 50% attack and 25% all defense. That's similar to Ronin's leadership, better than Thanos's, so very, very strong. On top of that, as far as his Tier 2 passive is concerned, he gets a 50% ignore dodge, which makes him a very strong potential counter to speed types, which he doesn't have the advantage against normally in sort of the rock, paper, scissors situation, but it makes him a lot more flexible potentially than someone like Jean Grey, who you can abuse mechanics on characters like Ant-Man to kill her, which won't necessarily work against a Phoenix Force powered up Cyclops. Additionally, Cyclops has his third skill, Laser Point Strike, which has Ignore Iframe. And it also has 100% penetration, all types. It's got Super Armor, Barrier, Shield, Immune, Invincible. So imagine a character that deals a shit ton of damage, and they have a third skill that you can't dodge, and it'll penetrate no matter what, and he one-shots you with it. And if you try to dodge him, he's got 50% Ignore Dodge. Well, guess what? You fucked. Basically, if he becomes really strong, if he gets a large enough attack stat bonus, if he gets large enough skill and kind of bonus damage, etc., and if they bump up the actual damage of this skill enough, literally Cyclops could go around one-shotting people. Honestly, I think that's really damn cool, but I can obviously see the opportunity for abuse, and that would be very unfun to play against Cyclops, because he would just one-shot you, and then you go to your next character, and you basically have 4.5 seconds to kill him, because the skill has a 9-second cooldown. So if I was Netmarble, I would make this skill super powerful, but I would give it some drawbacks. I would obviously make the cooldown a lot higher. I'd make it like 15 or 16 seconds, so you will have a much larger window with which to kill him in between, and theoretically he shouldn't revive, although we'll have to wait and see. And that's something I want to get into just as a broader idea. These uniforms for Emma Frost and Cyclops and Colossus should be very interesting because I want to see how much of the Phoenix Force Netmarble actually draws inspiration from as far as giving these characters powers. Now, Cyclops needs it probably the most, but he's also getting a tier 3. Beyond Cyclops, Colossus, he also really needs like humongous buffs. So again, this is Netmarble's opportunity to make combat characters more powerful. A lot of people in Marvel Future Fight, a lot of players have Colossus tier 2 and they don't use him. They don't even have a uniform for him because they just did it to get Strife. So now you give Colossus a really strong uniform. You make Colossus a good character. He's not just a physical reflect Alliance Conquest leadership character to counter physical teams. He's actually a good standalone character. And you know what? Like Cyclops, Colossus does have a lot of things going for him that potentially make him quite strong, including his 4-star passive. I don't want to get into it in as much detail as Cyclops, but his 4-star passive is quite strong. His tier 2 passive is also pretty strong, and he also has very strong effects on his skills, like 100% ignore dodge for 3 seconds. Also, he's got penetration for everything except invincibility for 3 seconds, which is also good. And then he's got some other effects here, including a pretty awesome accumulation. So, all of those effects, if they stay, and then he gets a massive stat bump or he gets a massive damage bump to his skills, yeah, Colossus could be a super badass as, you know, a host of the Phoenix Force. It's absolutely possible. In the case of Emma Frost, she's by far the most expensive character of the 3 because she costs crystals, and unfortunately, she has a uniform already. So this is a little bit awkward. She immediately becomes a prime candidate for a Mega Mythic a Mega Mythic uniform ticket because her bios are obviously extremely expensive to come by in the form of 1,250 crystals every 160. So you would have to pop down like 8,000 crystals if you wanted to max out her uniform normally, because it's going to be a 1050 crystal uniform and it's going to cost over 900 bios to get to Mythic. However, we're going to have to see how much better it makes her because she's very strong when she gets the Phoenix Force and she becomes a host. But her new uniform, although it says it changed skills, it really didn't. It made her stronger, but she basically plays exactly the same way with this uniform versus this one. She doesn't do anything with her first 2 skills. They do like pathetic damage and pathetic effects. Her 3rd skill's amazing defensively, and then she does her usual 5 cancel 4 combo for the rest of her damage. It's very, very, you know, it didn't change at all from one uniform to another. So I'm very interested to see how much different they make Emma Frost. I hope that they put a lot of love and attention into these uniforms because this is a big deal. And the Phoenix Force and the Phoenix 5 and the whole, you know, X-Men versus Avengers AVX crossover event is, for a lot of people, huge. So to screw it up or to make the characters weak would really betray the essence. I mean, these 5 characters take on the entire Avengers plus the rest of the X-Men. So to make them weak would be pretty damn stupid, in my opinion. Finally, we have a couple of other questions to answer as far as to their alignment. And this is why I wanted to talk about the Twitter post, and this is why I wanted to bring up the Netmarble post. Are they going to be heroes or are they going to be villains? So again, you can get into sort of arguments or conversations with people who've read the comics, and they can say, oh, they were heroes, oh, they were villains, blah, blah, blah. But here's what I think. I think they're going to be villains. I think that's how Netmarble is going to interpret this update. I think it's a good idea to give us a new Blast Tier 3 villain to replace Magneto for Alliance Battle Extreme, and it gives those players who play ABX and those alliances something new to build, and it sort of, you know, moves the goalpost just a little bit further because a lot of stagnation is happening at the top because everyone's sort of capping out with specific characters except for Magneto. So moving that goalpost a little bit further forward does sort of create a new pecking order for, you know, players and alliances that figure it out first versus second versus third and so on and so forth, and how it will affect their scores. Secondly, we just need more villains, just straight up. We don't have enough villains in Marvel Future Fight. We need more. So converting 3 heroes into 3 villains is basically a +6 for the hero-villain disparity. However, unfortunately, as much as I want to believe that they're going to be villains and Netmarble is going to do the right thing here, there is a possibility, it's a pretty strong possibility, that they're going to all still be heroes, because Netmarble has a huge problem with making any character a villain. Any character that was a hero basically can almost never become a villain. And look no further than Captain America's Marvel Now uniform. Now, yes, when you finish the comic run, you find out that things weren't actually as they seemed, and he's a hero after all, because of course, he's Captain America. He's not going to be a villain, duh. But seriously, he's a villain. So, yeah. The fact that they made him a hero with this uniform completely blows my mind, and it's just cascaded from there. So yeah, there is obviously still, you know, as someone who's been playing Marvel Future Fight for so long, I know there's a high chance, high probability that they'll be heroes. But I'm crossing my fingers, and I'm hoping to see on this Facebook live stream with Kane and Karen, or Cage and Karen, or whoever it's going to be, that they will reveal some of that, and that we will get some villains. And you know what? Even if they're not all villains, if let's say they make Cyclops and Emma villains, but they keep Colossus a hero, I wouldn't mind that at all. But I think if none of them are villains, then that is a massive missed opportunity for Marvel Future Fight and for Netmarble. So with that being said, huge news. It's going to shake up the game, I think. That's what I think is going to happen. I think this update is going to shake up the game big time. Absolutely get your asses up and start farming for Cyclops ASAP in the tracking missions. Hit this thing up. You're really doing yourself a disservice if you're not farming his bios. So easy, so plentiful, and you know, it's a good source of bios as fodder for native tier 2s, even if you're not going to rank up Cyclops' uniform, even if you hate Scott Summers, and so on and so forth. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the Cyclops Tier 3 announcement and the Phoenix Force. Are Namor and Magic going to get those uniforms as well? Or are we just seeing part 1 of the Phoenix 5 update? That is my last question to you for this video. Let me know what you think. It's a pretty big question mark for Magic and Namor. Namor does not need it at all. Magic desperately needs it. What's going to happen? Is it too soon for Namor? Subscribe if you enjoyed the content, you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again later today. Take care.